You know it's gone, gone, gone out of that hip-shaking King Creole. You know it's gone.
Riley Keough just discovered that her own grandmother sold the most intimate, guarded pieces of Elvis Presley's legacy, his personal journals, without her knowledge, without her permission, and without a shred of remorse. We're not talking about a few autographed photos or stage costumes that belonged in a museum. We're talking about the raw, unfiltered thoughts of the king of rock and roll, scribbled in his own handwriting during his most vulnerable moments. These journals were never meant for public consumption. They were family heirlooms, sacred relics that belonged to Lisa Marie Presley, Riley's late mother, and by extension, to Riley herself. But Priscilla Presley, the woman who spent decades controlling the narrative around Elvis's life and death, why just auction them off to the highest bidder like they were nothing more than vintage merchandise. The sale went down quietly, almost suspiciously so. No press release, no family consultation. Just a private transaction brokered through a high-end auction house that specializes in celebrity estates and Hollywood memorabilia. By the time Riley found out, the deal was already done. The journals were gone. And the price tag? A staggering sum that would make your head spin. But here's the twist. It wasn't about the money. Priscilla didn't need the cash. She's been living comfortably off the Presley empire for decades. No, this was about something far more calculated, far more personal. This was about control. This was about making sure that certain truths stayed buried and certain voices stayed silent. Riley is furious, and she has every right to be. Imagine losing your mother unexpectedly, suddenly, in the cruelest twist of fate. And while you're still drowning in grief, while you're still trying to pick up the pieces of a shattered family, the one person who should be supporting you decides to strip away the last tangible connection you have to your grandfather's truth. That's not just betrayal, that's calculated cruelty. And it gets worse, because this sale didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened just months after Riley fought tooth and nail to protect her mother's wishes, to keep Graceland in the family, to honor Lisa Marie's legacy against Priscilla's attempts to rewrite the will and seize control of the estate. Riley won that battle, but barely. And now it's becoming clear that Priscilla wasn't done fighting. She was just getting started. And what makes this even more devastating is the timing. Lisa Marie Presley died in January 2023, and her loss sent shockwaves through the family and the world. She was Elvis's only child, the keeper of his flame, and the one person who truly understood the weight of that name. Riley, her eldest daughter, inherited not just Graceland, but the responsibility of preserving her mother's memory and her grandfather's legacy. She became the sole trustee of the Presley estate, a role she never asked for, but accepted out of love and duty. And in that role, she's been fiercely protective. She's kept the estate out of the hands of opportunists. She's honored her mother's final wishes. She's tried to keep the family, what's left of it, together. But Priscilla saw things differently. To Priscilla, Riley wasn't the rightful heir. She was an obstacle. The journals were supposed to stay in the family. They were part of Lisa Marie's inheritance, passed down with the understanding that they would remain private, protected, and out of the public eye. They contained Elvis's most personal reflections, his fears, his regrets, his thoughts on fame, fatherhood, and the women in his life. And yes, that includes Priscilla. There are passages in those journals that reportedly paint a very different picture of their marriage than the one Priscilla has sold to the world for the past 5 decades. There are entries that reveal Elvis's true feelings, his frustrations, and his wishes for his daughter's future. And now, those words are in the hands of strangers, collectors, historians, people who will dissect them, publish them and profit from them. And all because Priscilla decided they were hers to sell. But here's what Priscilla didn't count on. Riley isn't Lisa Marie. She's not going to stay silent. She's not going to let this slide. She's lawyered up, and sources close to the family say she's exploring every legal avenue to challenge the sale. There are questions about whether Priscilla even had the legal right to sell those journals in the first place. There are whispers of forged documents, manipulated agreements, and exploitation of loopholes in estate law. Riley's legal team is digging, and they're not stopping until they get answers. Because this isn't just about getting the journals back. This is about drawing a line in the sand. This is about sending a message. The Presley legacy is no longer for sale, and Priscilla's reign over it is over. And if you think this is just a family squabble over old notebooks, you're missing the bigger picture. This is about erasure. This is about Priscilla trying to control the story, to bury the parts of Elvis's life that don't fit her carefully curated image, and to sideline the one person who actually has the right to protect his memory, his granddaughter. Riley knows what's in those journals. She knows what Priscilla is trying to hide. And she's ready to fight for the truth, no matter how ugly it gets. But to understand why Riley is willing to go to war with her own grandmother, you need to know what's really written in those journals, and why Priscilla wanted them out of her hands. The journals that Priscilla sold weren't just diary entries about concerts and recording sessions. They were Elvis Presley's unfiltered confessions, written in the late hours of the night when the persona dropped and the man underneath came to the surface. These were the pages where he wrestled with his demons, questioned his choices, and laid bare the loneliness that came with being the most famous man on earth. And buried within those handwritten entries were truths that Priscilla Presley has spent half a century trying to keep locked away. Because the Elvis that emerges from those journals is not the devoted husband she's portrayed in interviews and documentaries. He's a man who felt trapped, misunderstood, and deeply conflicted about the woman who shared his name but never truly shared his world. According to sources who've seen excerpts before the sale, Elvis wrote extensively about his marriage to Priscilla, and in the picture he painted was far from the fairy tale she's been selling. He described feeling suffocated by her need for control, frustrated by her inability to understand the pressures of his career, and heartbroken by the growing distance between them. There are entries where he questioned whether she ever truly loved him or just loved the idea of being Mrs. Elvis Presley. He wrote about the fights, the ultimatums, and the cold silences that filled Graceland long before their divorce became public. And perhaps most damning of all, he wrote about his relief when she finally left. Not anger, not heartbreak, relief. That's the word he used. And for a woman who's built an empire on being the eternal grieving widow, that one word is a nuclear bomb. But the journals didn't just expose cracks in the marriage. Yet they revealed Elvis's deepest regrets as a father. And those entries are what make this betrayal so personal for Riley. Elvis adored Lisa Marie. She was his pride, his joy, the one pure thing in a life that had become a circus. He wrote about his fears for her future, his guilt over the chaos she was born into, and his desperate hope that she would have a better life than he did. He made it clear in those pages that he wanted his daughter to inherit everything, not just his wealth, but his legacy, his truth, and his voice. He wanted her to be the one who told his story, not Priscilla, not the Colonel, not the Hollywood machine. And now, decades later, Lisa Marie is gone, and Riley, is the one carrying that torch. Those journals were her roadmap, her proof that her grandfather wanted his daughter's lineage to control the narrative. And Priscilla just torched it. There's another layer to this that makes the sale even more suspicious. Several of the journal entries reportedly contain Elvis's private thoughts on his estate and what he wanted done with Graceland after his death. He had specific wishes about keeping it in the family, about making sure it remained a home and not just a tourist attraction. He wrote about his distrust of people who saw him as a cash cow rather than a human being. And while those wishes were never formalized in legal documents, because Elvis, for all his genius, was tragically disorganized when it came to planning for the future, they still carry moral weight. They still matter. And Priscilla knew that. She knew that if Riley got her hands on those entries, she'd have ammunition to challenge every decision Priscilla made over the decades. Every deal she brokered, every dollar she skimmed. So she did what she does best. She moved first. Riley's legal team is now investigating whether Priscilla had the legal authority to sell those journals in the first place. Because here's the thing. When Lisa Marie died, Riley became the trustee of the estate. That means everything tied to Elvis's legacy, including personal artifacts, should have fallen under her jurisdiction. But Priscilla has always been slippery when it comes to estate law. She's claimed ownership over items that were supposedly in her possession before the estate was restructured. She's argued that certain pieces were gifts, not inheritance. And in the chaos following Lisa Marie's sudden death, she may have exploited the confusion to move assets she had no legal right to touch. If Riley can prove that, the sale could be voided. The journals could come back, and Priscilla could face serious legal consequences. That's why this isn't just a family drama. It's a legal war with millions of dollars and a legacy on the line. But beyond the money and the legal battles, there's something even more insidious at play. Priscilla isn't just trying to protect her image. She's trying to erase Lisa Marie from the story entirely. For years, Priscilla has positioned herself as the sole keeper of Elvis's memory. She's the one who opens Graceland for tours. She's the one who approves biopics and documentaries. She's the one who sits for interviews and collects the checks. And Lisa Marie, for all her efforts to honor her father, was always painted as the troubled daughter, the one who couldn't handle the pressure, the one who made mistakes. And Priscilla made sure of that. And now that Lisa Marie is gone, Priscilla saw an opportunity to rewrite the entire narrative without opposition. Except she didn't count on Riley. She didn't count on a granddaughter who's smarter, tougher, and more determined than she ever gave her credit for. More than 90% of the people watching this video right now still aren't subscribed. And that means most people are missing out on exclusive, untold stories about Elvis Presley you won't find anywhere else. If you don't want to miss the next revelation, now's the time. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share this video with one friend. Now let's continue. Riley knows what those journals represent. They're not just historical artifacts. They're proof that her mother mattered, that her grandfather trusted his daughter, and that Priscilla's version of events has always been a carefully constructed lie. And if Priscilla thought selling those journals would bury the truth, she just made the biggest miscalculation of her life. Because now, Riley isn't just fighting for property. She's fighting for her family's voice. And here's where it gets even darker. Because this isn't the first time Priscilla has tried to control the Presley fortune, or erase the women who stood in her way. This war didn't start with the journals. It started the moment Lisa Marie Presley's heart stopped beating on January 12, 2023. She was only 54 years old. She just attended the Golden Globes days earlier, beaming with pride as Austin Butler won for portraying her father in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis biopic. She seemed happy, healthy even. And then, without warning, she was gone. Cardiac arrest, sudden, brutal. The kind of loss that leaves a family reeling and grasping for anything solid to hold on to. But before Riley and her siblings could even process their grief, before they could bury their mother with dignity, Priscilla made her move. And it wasn't a move born out of love or protection. It was a calculated power grab disguised as concern. Lisa Marie had updated her will years earlier, and the changes were crystal clear. She removed Priscilla as a trustee and replaced her with Riley and her late son, Benjamin Keough. After Benjamin's tragic death in 2020, Riley became the sole trustee. The message was unmistakable. Lisa Marie didn't trust her mother with the estate. She didn't want Priscilla anywhere near the financial decisions or the legacy planning, though she wanted her daughter in charge. And that should have been the end of it. But Priscilla wasn't about to let a piece of paper stand between her and control of the Presley empire. Just weeks after Lisa Marie's funeral, Priscilla's lawyers filed documents challenging the validity of the will. She claimed the signature looked forged. She claimed she was never properly notified of the changes. She claimed that Lisa Marie wasn't of sound mind when she made those decisions. It was a brazen, shameless attempt to overturn her own daughter's final wishes, and she did it while Riley was still crying herself to sleep every night. The legal battle that followed was ugly, public, and heartbreaking. Priscilla's team painted Riley as inexperienced and unfit to manage an estate worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Yet they suggested that Lisa Marie had been manipulated, that outside forces had influenced her to cut Priscilla out. It was a character assassination dressed up as legal strategy, and it played out in tabloids and courtrooms for months. Riley, meanwhile, stayed relatively quiet. She didn't trash her grandmother in the press. She didn't air the family's dirty laundry for clicks. She let her lawyers do the talking, and they came armed with documentation, witnesses, and proof that Lisa Marie's will was legitimate, legally sound, and exactly what she wanted. The estate case was eventually settled out of court in May of 2023, with Riley retaining her role as trustee and Priscilla walking away with a financial payout and a title as special advisor that held no real power. On paper, Riley won, but the cost was devastating. And because what Priscilla did wasn't just a legal challenge, it was a public declaration that she didn't respect her daughter's wishes, didn't trust her granddaughter's judgment, and valued control over family. She turned what should have been a time of mourning into a courtroom circus. She forced Riley to fight for something that was already hers by right. And she sent a message to the world that the Presley family was fractured, dysfunctional, and at war with itself. Riley walked away from that battle with Graceland secure and her mother's wishes upheld. But she also walked away knowing that her grandmother saw her as an adversary, not family. And that betrayal cut deeper than any legal brief ever could. But here's the part that makes the journal sale so sinister. It happened after Riley won the estate battle, and it happened after Priscilla had already been removed from power. It happened after the lawyers had packed up and the settlement ink had dried. This wasn't a preemptive strike. This was retaliation. Priscilla couldn't take Graceland from Riley, so she took the next best thing. She took the parts of Elvis's legacy that were still within her reach and sold them before Riley could stop her. And she did it quietly, strategically, in a way that would maximize profit and minimize Riley's ability to intervene. It was petty, it was vindictive, and it was proof that Priscilla's fight for control was never really about protecting Elvis's legacy. It was about protecting her own. Riley is now in an impossible position. She's the sole guardian of Graceland, the trustee of an estate that's constantly under scrutiny, and the keeper of a family name that's worth more dead than alive. She's responsible for her younger sisters, for preserving her mother's memory, and for making sure her grandfather's legacy doesn't get swallowed by opportunists and frauds. And she's doing all of this while grieving the loss of her mother and her brother, while navigating the brutal politics of celebrity estates, and while fighting off her own grandmother at every turn. She didn't ask for this. She didn't want this, but she's carrying it because no one else can, and the weight of it is crushing. What makes this even more tragic is that Riley loved her grandmother once. There are photos of them together when Riley was a child, smiling, laughing, looking like a normal family. But somewhere along the way, Priscilla stopped being a grandmother and became a gatekeeper. She stopped protecting the family and started protecting the brand. And now, with Lisa Marie gone, there's no buffer left. It's just Riley standing between Priscilla and total control of the Presley narrative. And Priscilla has made it very clear that she's not going to stop pushing. The journal sale was just the latest salvo in a war that's been brewing for decades. A war that Riley never wanted, but is now forced to fight. And if you think this is just about money and control, you're missing the most heartbreaking part of all. Riley Keough isn't fighting because she wants to. She's fighting because she has to. Because if she doesn't, everything her mother fought for, everything her grandfather built, and everything she's been entrusted to protect will be rewritten by the one person who was never supposed to have that power. And this isn't about pride or revenge. This is about preservation. This is about making sure that when the world remembers Elvis Presley, they remember the truth, not the sanitized, commercialized version that Priscilla has been peddling for profit. And it's about making sure that Lisa Marie Presley, a woman who spent her entire life in her father's shadow and her mother's manipulation, finally gets to be seen as the keeper of the flame she truly was. Riley has stayed remarkably silent through all of this. While Priscilla has given interviews, attended events, and maintained her public image as the gracious widow and devoted grandmother, Riley has kept her head down. She hasn't posted cryptic messages on social media. She hasn't leaked stories to the tabloids. She hasn't played the victim. But sources close to her say that behind closed doors, she's devastated and furious. She feels betrayed by the one person who should have been her ally in grief. She feels violated by the sale of something so personal, so sacred. And she feels an overwhelming responsibility to her mother to honor Lisa Marie's memory by refusing to let Priscilla erase her from the story. Because that's what this is really about. Priscilla doesn't just want control of the estate. She wants to be the only woman who matters in the Presley legacy. And Riley is standing in the way of that. The next steps are already in motion. Riley's legal team is building a case to challenge the legitimacy of the journal sale. While they're investigating whether Priscilla had legal ownership of those journals or if they were part of the estate that should have been under Riley's control. If they can prove that Priscilla overstepped, the sale could be nullified and the journals could be reclaimed. There's also the possibility of a buyback. Riley could pool resources, reach out to collectors, and purchase the journals privately to bring them back into the family. It would be expensive, humiliating, and exactly what Priscilla probably wants. But Riley might do it anyway, because keeping those words safe is worth more than pride. And then there's the nuclear option. Riley could go public. She could release a statement, do an interview, or write her own account of what's happened. She could expose the manipulation, the greed, and the betrayal, while she could let the world see Priscilla for who she really is. And that terrifies Priscilla more than any lawsuit ever could. What's at stake here goes beyond money and legal documents. It's about voice. It's about who gets to tell Elvis's story now that everyone who truly knew him is gone. Priscilla was married to him for 6 years and divorced him for 4 more before he died. She wasn't there for the final chapter. She wasn't the one holding his hand. She wasn't the one raising his daughter. That was Lisa Marie. And now, that responsibility falls to Riley. She's the last living link to Elvis's bloodline who actually cares about protecting his humanity, not just profiting from his name. And she knows that if she loses this fight, the Presley legacy becomes nothing more than a brand, a theme park. Is he a nostalgia cash grab with no soul left inside it? Riley Keough is standing alone at Graceland now, both literally and figuratively. She's the guardian of a mansion filled with ghosts, the trustee of an empire built on tragedy, and the target of a woman who sees her as competition instead of family. But she's not backing down, she's not selling out, and she's not letting her mother's voice be silenced by the woman who spent decades trying to dim it. Priscilla made a calculation when she sold those journals. She thought Riley was too young, too grief-stricken, too overwhelmed to fight back. She thought she could slip this one past her and get away with it, but she was wrong. Riley Keough didn't ask for this war, but she's not backing down. And if Priscilla thought selling those journals would silence the truth, she just made the biggest mistake of her life. So what do you think? Is Riley right to go to war with her own grandmother, or should she let this go and move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to see more on the Presley family drama and celebrity estate battles, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, because this story is far from over.